Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to What You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Girard-Perregaux Seahawk II reference 49920-11 BMW Oracle. This is a tribute to the 2010 and 2013 America's Cup Championship Syndicate, but Girard-Perregaux was on board before the success came. Debuting for 2005, this 40mm stainless steel limited edition represented early backing of the team that would come to dominate modern top-level yacht racing by Girard-Perregaux. So let's put it on the wrist. Let's talk a little bit about the Seahawk history, the Seahawk II, and this BMW Oracle Special Edition. Now you can see on the wrist 40mm. This is the more moderately sized of the two Girard-Perregaux Seahawk II case sizes. Seahawk II is the successor to the long-running Seahawk line, a name that dates back to the 1940s, but didn't really become a sports watch proper until the 1950s. It wasn't until 2002 that the Seahawk broke out of its mold of kind of aping the Omega Seamaster and the Rolex Submariner in shape and style. It became its own thing, very much a GP original in 2002 with this case size. And you can see how unconventional and yet blue sky it is. Very imaginative. You can see the Girard-Perregaux design influence. First of all, the entire case, including the deployant buckle, is made in-house at GP. So you've got a degree of manufacturer pedigree there that's already rare in the Swiss watch industry. It's uncommon to make your own movements. It's very uncommon to make your own case. Girard-Perregaux makes both, and we'll get to the movement in a moment. But I want to talk about this unconventional case and how it wears. At 40mm, with beautiful flowing tapered lugs, almost delicate lugs for a sports watch, it's very comfortable. It sits very securely with tremendous souplesse on the wrist. Now this beautiful vulcanized natural rubber strap is partially conforming to the case, but unlike many conforming straps that eliminate the gap between the end of the strap and the flank of the case, this one doesn't try to flare out as it presses against the case, so you get that pleasing aesthetic effect, but you don't get that virtual width that comes when those straps want to flare out. On my wrist, which is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this watch is an absolute delight. I think that this watch could be worn comfortably on a wrist as small as 5.5 inches in circumference. If you want a bold, modern-styled sports watch from a true manufacturer, and in a fascinating and historic limited edition, this Seahawk II BMW Oracle is an awesome choice. Now you can see how Girard-Perregaux chose to place the crown of the Seahawk II, the 2002 to present Seahawk II, at 430, and there's a good solid reason for that. That being that when it's on your wrist, you don't want a crown to be digging into your skin. And also, if you've already got a swell of the lugs at the periphery of the case, if you've already got that massive metal where the lugs flare out, why not minimize the additional metal that you have to add for the sake of a crown guard and a crown assembly, and just integrate the crown guards into the lug? Very clever. It's an ergonomic success. It's also an aesthetic success by Girard-Perregaux. And with minimal interference with the, as you can see, the extension of the wrist, Girard-Perregaux really pulls off a coup that allows this watch to be worn quite comfortably, either left-handed or right-handed. Now the nice thing about it is it also sits lightly, because although it's elegantly tapered from end to end, the fact that it is 40mm means that it has a planted stance without having the feel of a massive watch on the wrist. Just enough heft to feel like a premium piece, but not so much that it feels like it's going to swallow your wrist whole. There are no hot spots or pressure points. I really enjoy this watch on the wrist. Now I want to focus on some of the design highlights. For those who often ask, well, what does it look like on the back? It's a solid case back. Normally I don't highlight this fact. Solid case back watches usually don't have much to show off on the reverse, but because this one does have an inscription and a dedication to the BMW Oracle racing team, I thought for you America's Cup fans out there, or those of you who might be computer geeks / car enthusiasts, you wanted to see the back and just the beautiful degree of finish. Held in place by screws, high polish, beautifully engraved, simple. It also calls attention to the 300-meter, 1,000-foot water resistance of this watch. So this really is a true full-contact sports watch in every sense. As a uniquely styled alternative to those Submasters of the world, the Submariners and Seamasters that really seem to just kind of take cues from each other endlessly, it is a very blue sky take on sports watch design, and yet it does not have a much larger physical footprint than something like a Rolex sub on the wrist. What it does have is a look unlike any other. Now, Girard-Perregaux gives you the standard dive watch unidirectional rotating dive bezel. There is a lume pearl on the index at 12 o'clock, so you simply align it with the minute hand, which is broad, beautiful, and glows like a torch at night, and then you can time an interval of up to 60 seconds using the unidirectional dive bezel. I really do want to call attention to the sheer amount of lume on this dial. Unlike the Submariner and some of the 300-meter professional versions of the Seamaster, this thing is an absolute, I'm going to just use Panerai as a generic term here, but that's really what it brings to mind when you see it in the dark. This glows brighter than any of the big three sports watches. Omega, Breitling, Rolex, none of them really compare to the degree of luminescence that this exhibits at night. If you want something that rivals it, you really have to go Panerai in the haute de gamme, the high horology world, if you want a sports watch that's as legible as this BMW Oracle Girard-Perregaux Seahawk II at night. But you also get some Girard-Perregaux refinements that are quite distinctive. First, the use of white hands really sets the watch apart in the daytime. High-polished, silver, diamond-polished, white gold hands can sometimes blend in when viewed at certain angles against a black background. The combination of white hands and a matte black base makes the legibility of this Seahawk II excellent. Also, the inclusion of a power reserve on a movement with a 42-hour autonomy is a thoughtful measure, because this is a sports watch, this is a dive watch. After all, if you were to use it for diving, you would want to know immediately whether you could count on it to continue to keep good time underwater, or if it's just about to bite the dust. So I really do like the inclusion of a large and prominent power reserve on a dive watch. Also useful if you've got a couple of watches on your desk and you're rotating through them each morning on your dresser. Well, I've got to wind up the GP if I want to wear it tomorrow. There's a date right here at 1:30, an unconventional placement, but it's actually nice because it moves it away from the 6 o'clock position where it would crowd the power reserve, and it allows Girard-Perregaux to balance the dial nicely with the four corners, the cardinal numerals at 12, 3, 6, and 9, and I like to see all four of them. So I'm happy that Girard-Perregaux displaced the date. It's both distinctive and, from an aesthetic standpoint, an elegant touch. Now, the BMW Oracle branding is overt, but you can't read it from even an arm's length away, so it's not overbearing. If you're not explicitly interested in America's Cup racing or either of those brands, from a distance, all it does is add color and character to the dial. So I wouldn't hesitate on that basis. If you have any reservations about co-branding of watches, I can tell you it doesn't spoil the effect whatsoever. The addition of the white, the blue, and the red, if anything, just enhances the sporting aesthetic of this premier dive watch reference from Girard-Perregaux. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the manufacturer caliber, because Girard-Perregaux is known as a great manufacturer in the modern era, and the GP caliber 3300, part of a series originally introduced in 1994, automatic winding, fully in-house, unidirectional winding for efficiency, automatic 42-hour power reserve with a jump date. It's an outstanding basis for a durable and enduring sports watch line that's run since 2002 with comparatively few changes, because GP knows that they got it right with the Seahawk II right out of the gate. And unlike a lot of modern sports watch models that get redesigned every 5 years, GP has really acted as a steward of the Seahawk II line, and they've kind of given up on the idea of planned obsolescence, and they've evolved this one slowly over time. So now, as we enter the second decade of production of this Seahawk II design, you know that it's a design that's going to be enduring, that's not easily dated by its appearance. It's got a lot of legs, this Seahawk II, and I really feel that that's kind of the ultimate point to recommend this aesthetic. Although unconventional, it's definitely proved to have staying power. This Girard-Perregaux Seahawk II BMW Oracle America's Cup Limited Edition can be seen on our website, Watch You Want. If you're, well, basically if you're satisfied or jaded by the big three, Rolex, Omega, and Breitling, give this one a shot. This Girard-Perregaux Seahawk II BMW Oracle Special Edition just may be the watch you want.